Hello and welcome to this new tutorial. Today we're going to be doing some HTML. This is actually going to be quite a long video actually. I'm expecting over an hour, let's say, and maybe touching 2 hours. This is for people that would like to make a simple website. Alright, there's going to be no programming in here, no scripting in here. It's going to be basic HTML and CSS. Okay, now the idea of this is to assist people that don't want to learn how to do PHP, don't want to learn how to do MySQL, JavaScript, C#, C++, and all that others. They just want to be able to save some cash and build their own website. Alright, and what I'm going to show you how to do in this one is how to build a basic template, and then we're just going to add some information into it, okay, which means you can hopefully adapt the code which is already written. Now I'm saying code because that's basically what HTML is. It's a form of code, but it's more of a language. If we remember it, let's call it a language rather than coding. Okay, it's just like writing a paragraph, so but we're adding a few identifiers in order to then make something bold or make something square, or and so on. Okay, so let's just say, for example, you've just been to your local internet host company and said, I want a website, give me some space, and I want to upload my own website to it. Okay, so now what you're going to have is something along the lines of some space on a web page. Alright, so let's just kill all these connections. Now, in order to be able to upload and download and modify any files that you have on your web server, okay, web server being the space which you've actually you've bought and you're renting for a hosting company to display your website. So, for example, you've bought your domain name, okay, and we're going to call it mydomain.com. So you've bought this and you go to your website and it shows a blank page, or it shows some message from the hosting company in which you bought it from. Okay, so this is basically the start of a website. It's just going to show a blank page, but it's going to work, alright, and it's not going to do anything. Now what you need to do is you need to be able to understand how it's going to get there. Alright, now you need to actually display stuff on the web page. Seems very basic stuff right now, but in the beginning, if you have no idea how to do it, well, this is what I'm showing you how to do. Okay, the real basics of starting your own HTML websites, right? The old style of doing it, of static websites, which is still a very good way of doing it. All right. Okay. So first thing, when you get given your web hosting place on their server, they're going to give you something which is called FTP access, okay, which is File Transfer Protocol. This is a way for you to sit on your computer and then, let's call it, phone across to the server and say, please give me access and display all of the files and folder and the tree structure of all the directories and files, okay, in order for you to upload and download and modify whilst online the content of your website. So there's a program called FileZilla. This is open source, okay, which basically means it's free, and this allows you to connect to the server itself. Now the web host company is going to provide you with some information, some FTP information, a host, a username and a password. Alright, now that's all you have to do. Now this FileZilla, it shows a port here. Okay, now you don't have to worry about the ports. FTP works on 2 ports. That's it, nothing more. It's 21 and 22. 21 being just FTP, File Transfer Protocol, and the second one being SFTP, which means Secure File Transfer Protocol, which means that it's encrypted. Now, because you're uploading and downloading files that are just web pages, there's really no requirement to send it via SFTP, although you can. Alright, it just basically means that the file that you're sending from your computer that gets to the actual web server itself is encrypted whilst it's travelling and uploading, getting there, and also downloading. There's some encryption, but potentially this data is available online. There are a few other occasions where I would do this. Any username or passwords being sent backwards and forwards, I would do this. But for the time being, let's leave it. Alright, so I've made a little, a simple web page which has nothing on it, but it's an actual online website right now. So YouTube, it's not youtube.com, and just one of my other domains, thornphoto-webdesign.de. Okay, feel free to go and check it out. There's nothing on it, but feel free to go and check it out if it's still there. Okay, then the username which I've given to it is not really the very good one, but is YouTube. And then all you've got to do is put in your password, alright, and then press Quick Connect. As you can see here, we've now got our server root. Okay, and now the permissions which I've given to the server root is basically so they can only see this one folder. Yeah. Now, if you were then the server administrator of this one website, now obviously, which I am, I have a lot more access to all of the other content on the web server. But if I was handing out domain space for another company who wanted to then host their website on mine, then I'm only going to give them the rights to see their web space itself, which is basically just an empty folder. So for the time being, I've got an index.html file in there which is empty. Okay, but this is your web space. Now, for the sake of arguments, let's find this. I've made it also on my Apache server. Okay, let's just find it on the Apache server, and you can. This is basically what it will look like on the server, like this. Okay, so if we then add in here another test ftp.txt. Okay, let's just do that, and this is now here. What I can do is actually, if we just make this slightly smaller, just make this smaller here. Now what we can actually do is take this test FTP and just drag it, okay, and chuck it in, and as you can see now, it's uploaded. Now if I come over to Firefox, and I've got the site here, okay, as you can see, there's nothing in it, but if I come to here and go test ftp.txt, txt, okay, it shows the file, although there's nothing in the file as of yet. So let's just work on this, shall we? And let's put some text is here, very, very simple, and then let's come back to here, let's come back to here, let's just chuck it over again, let's overwrite it. That's now been uploaded. Let's come back to the web page, and as you can see here now, online this is actually on the internet. You see now we've got some text. Alright, this isn't a web page, but it's just showing you the principle behind using FTP and to upload. Okay, so that's showing you FTP. Now naturally, whilst it's on the server, we can delete it as well. Let's not delete it for now, and we can also create directories and stuff like that, and then also see file permissions of what people are allowed to do, and whether read or write and execute it there as well. Okay, so we're supposed to be talking about how to make a website, so that's what we're actually going to do. Let's come away from this. Now, if you're completely new, what I'm not going to be teaching you in this potentially is how to do HTML. Right, I'm going to be teaching you how to use it. Alright, so hopefully between within this tutorial is actually going to teach you HTML as well, rather than me directly teaching you HTML. Alright, I have a bunch of other videos to teach you about HTML and how to use the different tags, but in this one we're just going to build the website itself. Alright, so it's the first stepping stones into building your own website. Okay, as you can see, there's nothing there right now. Now my best advice for building a website would be to plan it first, to draw it out. Now I've built a few websites, so I kind of have a good idea of how to build the initial structure just in my head, and I've written the code so many times that I just can kind of do it. Okay, so what we've got here is our index.html. Remember, we're not working with any PHP here at all. Now, for the absolute basics, we need then the HTML, and then we want the heads, we want the body. Okay, in here we want the title, okay, and our first web page, okay, and then we're going to use some CSS in a minute, which we haven't made yet, but rel equals then style sheet. Let's just close that off, and then we'll say, I said we're not going to do any scripting, but I'm just going to place it in there anyway. Okay, so that's basically that for now. Right, let's actually place a doc type on it as well. Okay, so now we've got a doc type which provides us with HTML5 as well. Okay, so now we've got that in our body. Just to let you know that I am going to be working on a route on the Apache server. Okay, don't worry about that, said too much. I'm going to be making this website on my own computer, right, rather than making it online, because then we don't have to wait for the file transfer all the time when we save it. Alright, we just upload it at the end. So this is the online site, this is the one actually on my computer. See, mydomain.com. I've registered that domain name on my own computer, so it then reverts back to my computer. Okay, so this is not online. This one up here is online. Okay, so just to show you this, if we save this index.html, which we have our first web page, come here, and as you can see, our first web page is now there. Okay, I'm afraid for the sake of this tutorial I'm not going to do a lot of zooming in, because I want you to see the actual proportionate size of the web page. Okay, well this means now we need also some CSS, so let's come to our folder, and let's now dump this file here. So let's make a couple of folders, shall we? This is always a good thing to do right at the beginning, is to make some folders, and we want to have CSS one, and let's change that to images, and yeah, we're making a static one, so let's also say pages. I haven't built a static website for ages, so yeah, that'll do for now. And inside of our CSS we're going to call it layout.css, okay, and yeah, that'll do for now. Okay, so with inside here we then can say CSS, whoops, is the folder it's going to go in, is the folder we're searching in, sorry, and then layout.css. Scripts, we'll leave that for now. Okay, well, at least in the first hour we're not going to put any script in. Okay, so next thing what we want to do is we want to make some form of wrapper that's just going to hold all of the elements in, so we can move this wrapper around whatever we want. Okay, now due to the monitor sizes changing dramatically, or the pixels changing dramatically over the past few years, previously it was always said just to make a website kind of around the 800 pixel width. Well, now everyone seems to be at least minimum 1024, if not, like say 1280. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick it at 980. All right, the width of our website at 980. This is basically meaning that we're going to say it's wide enough for 1000 pixels, minus then the scroll bar for any browser, and then minus any other small things, just so we've got a tiny little border around it. Okay, so it's 980 is going to sit nicely with inside of the browser. Now, I like to start all of my web pages then with a div called wrapper. So that's the first thing that you want to do with inside your body tag, is make a wrapper. And we can even pretty much just come and knock this up and down by the body tag, because we don't need to check it otherwise. All right. Now I'm a big fan of doing this systematically. So as we come to here, we come to our layout.css, and first things first, my advice is to make a wildcard of star, okay, and say padding equals 0, margin equals 0. So we're just knocking out all padding and all margin from every single element that we're possibly going to use. Okay, be it header tags or paragraph and so on, none of them are going to have any padding or any margin on it. Even the body tag, everything's lost all padding and margin. I like this better. And what I'm also going to say is the anchor tag text decoration is going to be none. Okay, just by default, because I like to decide myself whether it wants any text decoration. Okay, and what we're also going to do then is going to say anchor and then image, and yeah, no, that's it, good, image, and we're going to say border equals none. Alright, because when you make an image an anchor, then it automatically gives it this purple border. Okay, so we've knocked all these things out straight away, which is fine. Okay, so now what we want to have is our wrapper class. Okay, now on the wrapper class, we first of all want to define a width, which we said is going to be 980 pixels, and we can zoom this in, 980 pixels, and then height, we're going to make auto. Alright, now for some of the items with inside of it are going to be being floated. Alright, so we're going to have a clever little trick to stop this from messing up the height of the box by saying overflow equals hidden. Now you might think this does the complete opposite, but it's just a clever little workaround. Okay, next thing we're going to do, because we're using the doc type of this doc type up here, means we can take advantage of the centering through margin. Now margin starts off then with the top, and then with the right, which we're going to say auto, then with the bottom we're going to say 0, and then we're going to say auto. Okay, so it's going to sit perfectly in the middle regardless of what size the browser is. Alright, so next thing, just so we can see some definition, let's make the border of it 1 pixel, and it's going to be a solid border, and we're going to say E1, 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 if I said that the right amount of times. That's just a light grey border. Okay, and for the sake of purposes of this at the beginning, we're going to make it 400 pixels so we can see it. Alright, so let's come over to our little web page, and as you can see here, let's just make that, so let's make it black, just so you can see it properly. There we go, and we've got a black border. Alright, so that's now sat in the middle. Whenever we make it smaller or bigger, it's fine, and this will work on all browsers as well, using the doc type of just HTML. Okay, next thing that I want to do is we're going to have like a kind of a logo top on it. Alright, so we want to make a header now. So let's come back to our HTML, and inside here we're going to make div class, and we're going to say header. Now we could use HTML5 for this, but I'm going to stay away from that because I'd rather use the CSS3 than use the HTML5 tags for now, because it's still very, very new, and there's still Internet Explorer 6 and 7s all knocking around, although Microsoft has pushed to try and update all of them. Okay, so what we want is a header. So next thing we're going to do is then write the CSS for the header. So see, the class is obviously, we're using the class, so we're starting with the dots to basically say with our CSS this is a class. Just do a little bit of an indent. Now this is going to be width, 100%. So it's always going to fill the wrapper itself, and height for the time being is going to be 100 pixels. Now let's just for some definition, we'll say backgrounds equals E1, 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 E1. Yeah. Okay, come back to here, do that, and as you can see now we have a header, alright, that sits in the box nicely. So now what I want to do is make a navigation bar underneath it. Okay, so let's come back to our HTML, and we don't have to put it inside the header. We'll just come and say div class equals navbar with logical names, and let's just close this off, and let's save it, come back to our CSS, and now we can say navbar. Okay, it's a class as well. Once again, we're going to say width of 100%, and height of this is going to be 25. Okay, now background, let's just make 515151 for the time being. Okay, and also I'm going to have a line height. I keep doing that. Okay, a line height of 24, just to knock the text down just slightly. Okay, and also up here, sorry, I'm going to decide that we're going to use Arial for everything. Okay, so it doesn't change, and we're going to also make all the text of 11 pixels just at the beginning. Alright, okay, so the line height is now 25, background is that, height is that. Let's save this, come back to our web page, and as you can see here now we have a navigation bar. Okay, next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make the inner contents of it. Now our web page is going to have a left hand column, and it's going to have a center column, then it's going to have a right hand column. Alright, now if you want to remove the right hand column, it's going to be fine, but for the sake of purposes of this, we're going to have a right hand column. So let's come back to our index.html, and we've got our nav bar, and now we can say class equals left, or we'll say left column. Alright, and we'll also copy this, I'm going to say mid column, I'm going to say right column. Now something which you might think of, you might not think of here, is this is all very much kind of working as it goes along. I like to have a little bit of structure in this, so what we're going to do is we're going to put this all round, and we're going to basically put it inside a main body. So we're kind of making a wrapper once again. Alright, so you've got the div class main body, then you've got the closing tag, then you've got the left column closing tag, open div, mid column with a class closing tag, and once again with the right column. Alright, so this main body is we're going to make sure all of these items stay in one piece. Okay, so now we want main body, and we're going to say width equals 100% because we want it like that, height equals auto, and this one we're going to have overflow equals hidden. Alright, this is because we're going to be using float, otherwise this box won't have a height of auto. Okay, and that's all we basically need to have, just so it contains everything in it. Right, now what we've got is a left column, so we want to write this left column, and also we got mid column, and then we got right column. Oops. Now you might wonder why I'm doing this all in one row, because all I'm going to do here, whoops, is just say float left. Right, they're all going to float left, basically, and also we're going to say height equals auto because they're all going to have the same height, or they're all going to have height equals auto. Alright, now that's all well and good. Now what we need to do is actually size them off. So left column, let's scroll up, left column is going to be width of, now let's think, 980 is what we've got. We want the first one to be, say, let's just get a notepad just here. Okay, so we want the left column to be, say, 150. We've got the mid column to be, then the right one will do 150 as well. So that's now 350. So the middle one can be 650. Sorry, 600. Okay, so the width of that one is going to be 150, and that means also we can add the right column to this as well. Okay, so we don't have to do anything. Now the mid column width is going to be 680, yeah, because it's 980. So that's how the width of it, what we got. Okay, so now let's come back over to our HTML, and we don't see anything yet because it doesn't have any colours, but we use Firebug here, and let's see where this main body was. Okay, yeah, that's right, because they're height. They've got no height at the moment. So let's make main body. Okay, let's just put some text in it. Okay, that will solve the issue. And center. Right, so let's come back to here. As you can see now, we've got 3 columns and they've all sat nicely in place. Okay, so now actually our web page is actually starting to come together. All right, now what I want to have is a footer right at the bottom. Okay, so let's come back over here. Now our main body is here, and what we want to have is to know that our footer always sits at the bottom. Okay. So let's just write in here, footer. Okay, let's come back to our CSS. Let's place it down here and say footer. Width equals 100%. Whoops, 100,005. Height equals 25. Line height equals 24. Okay, and yeah, let's just do background equals, and we'll just try blue. Just do blue for now. Okay. Let's come here, and as you can see, it sits there. But I want this blue to sit right at the bottom, regardless of what the content in the middle is. All right. So if we decide that the main body, the main wrapper is going to be 600, I want this footer to always sit at the base. Now, in order for us to do this, we're going to have to use the position instead. Okay, so what we have to come to here is come to the wrapper, and we have to say position relative. Alright, so this is now saying anything below me is going to be relative to me. Now, inside the footer, we're going to say position equals absolute. Now, I'm not a big fan of using absolute, but there's a time where you've got to use it. Alright, now we're just going to say bottom equals 0, okay, and left equals 0. That should then fix it. So we'll come back to Firefox. As you can see there, now it nicely sits on the bottom. Alright, so it means that this box here is always going to auto increase the size of the box once we do this. Alright, now also the left and right columns, I want these ones also to basically increase in height as they go along. Alright, because well, let's just finish a few things off. We can talk about this as we go along, and we can change it. So there we go. Now what I want to do is basically make the navigation bar. Alright, actually let's put a name in the site first of all, shall we? I'm kind of making this up as I go along. So inside the header, now inside the header you want to have your text. Okay, so let's say Thorn Web Design for the sake of arguments. Come back over to here, and as you can see, it just sits up there. Well, let's go and grab a logo, shall we? Okay, so I've gone and grabbed a logo, which we've got here, which is just this one here. Alright, now so what I want to do is I want to place this logo in this box here. Alright, and then we're going to have Thorn Web Design off to the side. Okay, so let's come over to here, and what we're going to do is we're going to split the header down into two. Alright, now we could use a couple of methods to do this. We could use 2 div tags to do it, or we could use now actually, yeah, we're going to use, for the sake of purposes of this, we're going to use div tags. Okay, so we're just going to say header left, and we're just going to copy this and say header right. There are times where you could use an unordered list, which would be actually this time here. Okay, so now header left is we're going to write the CSS for this. Alright, so let's come back up to here, come back up to header so it stays together. Okay, in header left we're going to say width equals 150 because I want it the same size as the left hand column. Height equals 100 pixels. Okay, now when I say background image equals URL, and it's one behind as well, so images, and then it was tfd cloud main.jpg. okay, and I'm going to say background repeat equals no repeat. There we go, and let's now save that. Let's see whether I've completely messed this up. Okay, no we didn't, so we're going to have to possibly make the image slightly smaller. How big was this image? Let me just check that quickly. 200 by 100. Okay, so I'm just going to cut it down slightly. Okay, so I've cut the image down very, very slightly, so it now sits within inside 150 nicely. Okay, so let's make this background of the header now white, shall we? So it's not grey first of all. That's why. So there we go. It's changed the background of header to now 3 Fs, which is white, or we can then say 6 Fs, which will be the same thing. Let's come back to here. Now it just sits in there. Now, to be honest with you, I'm not going to make this 100. I'm actually going to make it 75. So the header is now going to be 75 instead of 100. Change it back, and it's going to knock down. Actually, let's just make it just 80, just because it's a little bit extra room on it. That's better. Okay, so now we've got the logo, and I want to change now the border of the wrapper itself because I'm not really quite happy with that. So let's now change it to E1, 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 and so on. Okay, that's now like that. Now, what I want to do is I want to put some nice rounded corners on this box. Now previously, before, without HTML5 and CSS3, we'd then have to use lots of Photoshop and lots of this, that and the other, and lots of great CSS. We don't have to anymore. So let's just say border radius, okay, equals 20. Alright, come back to here. As you can see now, it's nicely rounded, and yeah, that's it. So I'm actually now going to have the text Thorn Web Design nicely in the middle here. Alright, so let's come back over to our index.html, and we've got our header left, and now we've got our header right. Now with inside this, I'm now going to write Thorn Web Design in here. Then underneath this, I'm going to write free online tutorial videos. Let's close this as well, like that. Okay, so now we've got header right, it's got an H3 and an H4 in it. So let's come over to here, and let's say, first of all, we need to make header right, and that's going to be width is then 830, and then height equals 75 pixels, and let's change this one to 75 as well. Right, and then we want that to be float left as well, and this one also wants to be float left. Now if we're going to do that float left, the header needs to be overflow equals hidden. There we go, so it's actually going to be that actual height, otherwise it won't recognize its content inside. So that's now float equals left, and now we've got there. Now with inside the header right, we want now to do the H3. Okay, so we've made the header right the main size. Now the header right H3, which was then the bigger title of Thorn Web Design, is going to be font size, and I'm guessing 18, and line height we're going to go for 17 pixels, height equals 20 pixels, and so on. That should be it. Actually, we want to have margin, and we're going to say margin top 0 for now, margin right nothing, margin bottom we're going to put as 5, right, and then bottom we're going to put as 5, and then left we're going to put as 10. And then colour, let's see what colour we are going to get. Okay, I've just got Photoshop to the side of me. I'm just going to try some of these colours for the time being. Alright, colour's going to be that, and then font weight is already bold because it's H3. So let's jump over to here, see how that comes out. Alright, that's not too bad. Right, in position, it's kind of okay. Let's do this now for the free online tutorials. So we can pretty much just copy this and just paste it again, because we're going to be doing this for the H4 itself. Now the size of it is going to be a lot smaller, so let's say 14, line height of 13, height of 15, and so on. And then this one is going to be, let's say, this colour here. Let's paste that in there. Alright, so let's come back over to our web page and have a look. Okay, that looks kind of cool. We can make that text a little bit smaller though, and make it maybe 12. That's fine. And let's also now with Firebug check how big this is. So that's got some margin on the bottom. Actually, we're going to knock that margin out on this one and put 0 in there, so this text sits nicely underneath it. And we're going to bump this across slightly. So now margin left, we're going to say 5 pixels. Let's come back till I get the right one. Yeah, okay. So let's say text indent 5 pixels. That means it's going to push the text from the left hand side over very, very slightly. There we go. That was far too much. Let's just go 2 on the text indent once again and go back. There we go. I just want it in line with the T. Actually, we'll just scroll in a little bit. We could probably knock that over just 3. Let's see what it's like now. That's better. So let's just put this back. Okay, so now we want to move the whole thing down slightly. So from the top one, we're going to say top of, that's 20. So the size of it is height of 20 of this one is 35. We've got 75 here. So that means now we've got 40 in between. So we can say margin top of, well, not 80, click the wrong button then, of 20. So let's come here. Okay, let's set it exactly where I want it. Okay, it's not really the website that I want, but it's kind of looking okay. Okay, next thing to do is in the navigation bar. Alright, which I'm going to go off and just make a nice simple navigation bar kind of background. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I've made a little gradient here which we're going to use. Alright, so let's now code this in, shall we? So our nav bar, we're going to actually copy this because I just can't be bothered to rewrite it. So within inside of our nav bar, we're just going to copy this here. I'm going to go, the name of it was navbar grads, and rather than it not repeating, this time we want it to repeat on the x-axis, okay, rather than anything else. So let's now get rid of this background, come back to our new website, okay, and now it's there. Alright, not really big fan of it, but it's okay. Alright. Okay, so that's now then the navigation bar. I'm not really a big fan of actually how big it is, so we're going to knock it down to 20, change this to 19, okay, and also then change the actual Photoshop file itself as well that I had, and I'm going to knock that one down to 9. Okay, so I've knocked that down to now 20. Let's come and have a look at it. There we go. So it's now just a little bit smaller. Okay, so now time to make the actual buttons with inside the navigation bar itself, now which is going to be running from left to right. So now how are we going to do this? So let's come over to here. The header left, actually, whoops, I didn't want to do that. The header left, we can just clean this up very slightly because we're not actually going to put anything inside of it. And the header potentially is kind of finished for now. So we can just give it a bit of a clean up. Like that, nice and simple. The nav bar we're going to do now. Okay, but inside the nav bar we're going to use an unordered list. Alright, just like this. And we're just going to make a simple template to use. Okay, and then that's in there. Alright, for the time being we're just going to put a hash so it doesn't do anything. Alright, so preferably speaking, I'm going to make a class on the first one and just going to say okay, yeah, actually oops, if I can type main nav bar. Alright, okay, then inside of here we'll say home. Alright, and we'll make 2 just for testing purposes and just say contact. Alright, so now we've got nav bar and main nav bar. So the first thing we've got to do with the main nav bar, alright, is I want this to be actually relative to the where the one class is. Alright, so nav bar, and then we've got main nav bar and UL first of all, and I'm going to knock out all everything of the actual list style type, so only the dots, the decimals, the squares and so on, because I don't like it. And then we're going to say width equals 100%. Okay, height equals then 20. Alright, actually we can leave the height because we might want to mess around with that later. That should now work perfectly fine. Okay, the 2 buttons are sitting left to each other. Let's just scroll in because that's how it's working. They're not being floated yet, so we now need to float the actual buttons itself. Okay, so let's come now to here and say now, let's see if this does this for us. Whoops, no. Nav bar, main nav bar, UL, LI. Actually, it was, what am I doing? Main nav bar there was UL, and then it's LI here. So that's actually UL dot main nav bar like that, and now it's LI. Okay, this basically is they're going to be floating left. They're going to be height of auto. Alright, because we might want to do something later with it, I'll explain later. And also line height of 19 pixels. Text align is going to be center. Font weight is going to be bold. And font size is going to be 14. Right? And colour is going to be white. Alright, so let's come back over to here and have a look. Okay, it's still blue, that's because they've got a link, but now they're floating, they're now floating left. Okay, so now we've got to sort out the anchor tag. So we've done the actual button itself. As you can see, the button's there and there. Now the anchor tag needs some formatting as well. Alright, so let's just copy this and stick the anchor on the ends. Alright, and now close this off. Now in order for an anchor tag to be formatted, we need to float it as well, but in order for our the list to be able to be the right height, we also need to say overflow equals hidden. Okay, just like that. Now we're going to say to this height equals 20, and we're not going to worry about, we're going to say width equals auto. Okay, but what we are going to say is padding, top no padding, but right we're going to say 20, bottom nothing, and left we're going to say 20. Alright? And we also need to say float left. Alright? So now, and colour equals white. Alright? So let's come back over to here. Let's do this, and as you can see, let's make it the right size. Now we've got two buttons sat there. Now the reason why I haven't given them a width is basically just in case we have one that's really long in size, basically the name. So for example, let's come back to index.html and let's make, just for example, travel agencies availability. Yeah, okay. So let's just say, for the sake of arguments, we get that. Now basically it doesn't matter how big the text is, the button actually, it's auto size to the actual text and size. Alright? Okay, but let's remove that because I'm not really worried about travel agencies availability. Okay, what we do want is some kind of interaction with the button itself in order to have, when the user then rolls their mouse over the button. Okay, let's just refresh that again. When they roll over the button. Alright, so what we're going to do, the most simplest thing, whoops, we're going to do first of all is use some CSS here. Simply copy the anchor tag, come here, and we're just going to say hover, very simple, and we're going to say in the beginning text decoration equals underline. And I'm actually going to make this important, alright, because I might knock it out in a few other things. And I'm going to say colour equals 555. Okay, so let's come back to here, roll over it, and you see now the colour changes, and we get some interaction with it as well. Alright, and this one here. So that's enough for the time being. We could start changing the backgrounds and so on, but I'm not going to in this one. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to stick a little kind of welcome to our website over the right hand side. Alright, so let's come over to here, let's copy one of these links, and then let's stick in here, take the anchor away, and say welcome David, as if they were logged in. Let's come over to here. As you can see, welcome David's now just sat here. So we need to basically give this a class by saying welcome message is what we're going to say. Copy this, come over to our CSS, that sits really up here, so let's come to that, and then whoops, come to main there, and then li, whoops, li, oh, slow down. Okay, and this is going to float right. Font size is going to be 11. Okay. Height equals 20, which, yeah, it's fine. Height equals 20. Line height is already done on the other one. That should be okay for now. Let's have a look. Okay, as you can see, it sits over there. So we need to have a margin of 10 right. Okay. Refresh it, and now that sits nicely over there. Alright, so we've got a little bit of interaction with the user by saying welcome if we know their name. Alright, okay, now let's start with the left hand column. First things first, I'm going to go get a drink because that's like 48 minutes, and then we can move on with the next element of it. Okay, so let's start with the left hand column now. Now predominantly what the left hand column is going to be is basically a secondary navigation bar, which you would use when, say, you click on one of the buttons here and there's additional options which you need to have available. Now what we want to have is kind of like a little title and then some buttons underneath. Now each one is then going to want to have some sub buttons as well, which may want to be displayed. So let's crack on with this, shall we? So our index.html, we then come over to our left hand column, and what we're going to remove here is we're then going to remove we're then going to put in another div. Actually, yes, we're going to put in another div here and class left navbar. Okay, and then we'll just close this off like this, nice and simple. And in here we're going to use, once again, another unordered list, and we're just going to say class yeah, it's going to come to me in a minute. We'll do exactly the same thing as before. Close this off, add then another anchor, stick the hash in it for the time being, and then put we'll just put option in here for now, option 1, and just copy this a couple of times just to make it like that. Option 2, option 3, option 4, option 5. Okay, class left inner. Okay, so let's now come over to do some CSS, and what we want to have in here as well is just a small title. Okay, and we're just going to say just say options title to have no imagination whatsoever. Okay, so left column we've already formatted. Now we do need to do the left navbar actual holder. So let's come to our CSS, and now we want to come to our left column here, and let's say here, and we're going to say left column. So we're actually going to define it a little bit more specific. Left bar left underscore nav, and width equals 100%, height equals auto, and what we're going to do is we're going to say margin top 5, left 10, bottom 0, and right 10, bottom 0, and left 10. Okay, and then because that's going to have float in it as well, going to have overflow equals hidden. Okay, now what we also want to have is left column, left navbar, and then h3. Okay, and this is going to be width, once again 100%, height equals 20, line height equals 19, and then font size is 14 pixels, font weights, whoops, will be bold already, but let's just do it anyway. And colour I'm gonna go to, and I might as well show you a quick little colour picker which I like. It's actually still on my favourites, so it's just down here, and we're just going to come to a nice bluish kind of colour here, actually make it a bit darker, and this one here. Okay, and let's come back to here, and we'll say colour, that there. Okay, so now we've got the colour. Okay, so let's now save that, and let's have a little bit of a look what we got. Let's come back to our page. Okay, that's pretty cool. Maybe that was a little bit too big in size for 14, so we'll say 12. Whoops, where are you? There you are. Okay, that's pretty cool, and we could probably, actually, let's just get rid of that, and let's just make sure we're on normal size. Yeah, it's fine. We'll actually just make it one, whoops, touch just small again, actually 11. Okay, there we go. Right, so that's now our title of it. Now what we need to do is sort out these buttons. Alright, so what we need to do is have left column, okay, then left navbar, and then we're going to have left inner, and left inner is the unordered list, and width equals 100%, once again, height equals auto, overflow equals hidden, margin equals 0, 10 pixels, and that's about it for that. And also we're going to say list style type equals none, and we're also going to make that importance. Alright, so let's come back over here, have a look at that, and that's all just budged in a little bit now, so we can see this. Let's first look at the column. Is fine, that is like that, then that is like that, which is gone out a bit too much. Yeah, that's all like this. Actually, what we want to do is make it auto and auto. That should fix it. I'll have that auto as well. Let's come back to here. Now we should have the left one, that one there. It's good. H3 goes to there. That goes to there. Fine. Good. That means they're all sticking within inside the boundaries now, which is what we want. Okay, so the UL is working fine, and we're actually going to knock out that with the UL, the margin left. Alright? Okay, so now we need to sort out the actual LIs itself. So we've got left inner. Okay, so these ones going to be display equals block, which means they're just going to they're not floating, so they're just going to display vertically. Okay, and then height equals auto, alright, because we're actually going to apply some CSS to the anchor tag rather than the LI. Okay, then font size equals 11, and then we're going to say border bottom equals 1, oops, I want solid, equals dotted, and just nice and simple once again. Whoops, don't want that. Okay, that's that now sorted that bit out. Alright, so you can see the difference in this now. They changed a little bit. Okay, now because we've got no height on it, they're not doing anything spectacular. But now let's copy this and let's actually apply the settings to the anchor tag itself. So we want this to be float left, which means I've forgotten in this to say overflow equals hidden, like that. Float left, and height of this is going to be 20, and we're going to say margin top is going to be 5 pixels, 0 left, bottom, and that there. Okay, so let's save this. Let's have a look. As you can see, they all move out a bit now, which is a little bit too much. Let's see where that is. Okay, because that's got no line height at the moment, so we need to change the line height to this, to 19. You see it's done there, line height. Come back, refresh this, that's gone down. Let's change this to the bottom. Actually, we don't want any on the bottom, we want 0 on the bottom. Let's change this again, that's a little bit better. Okay, that's good now. Let's just zoom in very slightly. So that's all good. Now what we want to do is it's not, the width isn't 100%, okay? So we need to make width equals 100%, so it goes all the way, and we can define this by now seeing that basically the pointer, the cursor, has now got a pointer all the way. Alright? Now what I want is to have when we hover over it, we're going to change the background very slightly. Okay, so let's move this up. Let's say hover, and we're going to say background equals very, very light white. So let's come to the color picker. Let's pick like a white, and let's pick a really light grey, F3. That's pretty good. That one there. So let's come back to here. Background is F3, F3, F3. And then we want to say text decoration equals underline, and we're going to say important on this as well. And fonts, whoops, font color equals 555. Alright, now on this we're going to say color equals, and we're going to use this color here, which was the blue from before, and chuck that in there, and then, whoops, can I go back, you lunatic? Okay, that's this colour there. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so that's all saved. Let's come back to here. Let's have a look how this is looking. Okay, and as you can see now, they've all got a nice line underneath it, and we're hovering over it. Okay. Now, what we do want is a little bit of text indent on the anchor tag as well. So let's say text indents. Just 5 pixels will do. All right. Come back to here, refresh this. Now you can see they've all just moved in slightly and the line stays underneath, which is what we want. Okay, so that's all really nice. Now what we want to do is have some subcategories as well. So we need to come back to our index.html here, and now the subcategory is going to go within inside of the list itself. So we'll make another, whoops, don't want that. Another one here, okay, and then another anchor tag, and put a hash in there. Whoops, just like that. Okay, and I'm going to say sub option 1. Let's come back to here just to see how much work we've got to do. Okay, as you can see here, it's not even displayed at the moment. That is because, let's have a look why then, shall we? Okay, it's probably to do with the CSS. We can look over here and see left inner, yeah, okay. So that is basically 20 in height, but this li should have no height on it, but that's because they've okay, I'm going to work this one out quickly. Okay, it's nice and simple. Because this anchor tag here has float left, it means that this unordered list is actually sitting underneath it, basically, so it can't be seen. Alright, so what we've got to do is actually then make it so it can be seen. Alright, so what we have to do is we'll say left inner LIUL first of all, which is then this bit here. Okay, it's the left column navbar UL left inner, then LI. So we'll come to here and we're going to say UL. Okay, and this is also going to then float left, width equals auto, height equals auto, overflow equals hidden. Okay, so now let's have a look now. Okay, and as you can see now, it displays. Alright, so we've got all the formatting which we need as exactly the same. As you can see, it's got the LI hasn't been actually has got a dotted underline down here, but this option 1 hasn't. Alright, so what we need to do is then change the underline now to the anchor instead, so we can fix this issue. Alright, now it was here which actually has the border bottom, so let's cut that out and let's actually place it on here. Now whilst we're doing that, when we hover over it, let's change the colour of it slightly to 515151. Now let's come back just to show you the difference of it. Now when we hover over it, it makes a big difference now, because the dotted line shows up as well, and they both have a dotted line. Now the only trouble is, at the moment we've got this dotted line is obviously not full width. That's basically because we're only accessing this one here. Alright, so what we need to do is we need to copy this, okay, and we can use these properties as well, basically, for LI, and then we'll say UL LI. Alright, so that's now given it to this as well. and we can copy this and place it in here, because these have got the same attribute or the same settings. Remove the hover, and now it should do the same thing. And it didn't. That's because we make a mistake there somewhere. Hang on. Let's have a look once again. That's gone there. That's gone there. Yeah. Okay, so it's now missing out on the heights from it. Let's have a look here. So that's got everything there. Colour, height, width equals 100%. Oh yeah, okay, maybe that's what to do. Ah, look, there we go. So you forgot to put the A there. That's probably what was doing it. So let's come back to this. Okay, now they're floating left, which is not what we wanted. Alright, but that's because the LI is display block. It's high. Okay, so we need to fix line 148. This needs also width of 100% this time. It's not done it. Well, let's do rather than doing display block, we're going to say float left. Still not done it. Okay, that's all the way, which is fine, which is option 1. But that's then there. This is inside. Okay, so that needs to be width equals 100%. Which is then fixed it there. Okay, cool. But now we still haven't got the actual underline on the anchor tag there being 100%, which is fine. We can fix that now. Okay, so now on hover, let's put this as width 100% as well, and I'm guessing that could fix it. Okay, so now actually we've got, yeah, there we go, it's working now. Alright, let's just get rid of this just to show you that it's working. We go over and basically it's now as a sub option. Now sub option is not very good because obviously it's right underneath. We want it just indented slightly, yeah, and also maybe slightly smaller. So what we need to do is we need to say this UL, which is with inside, we're going to say margin 0 is for top, and I say 10, and I say 10. So we're going to knock it down by 20. Okay, so now they're smaller. Let's just put this back to normal size. As you can see now they're smaller. Alright, now preferably I'd much prefer this to be in a different colour. So let's come to our index.php and let's say class equals sub element, okay, on the UL. So we just access everything straight away. So let's come here and say left column, left navbar, UL dot left inner li, and then UL and this sub element. Now what we're going to do is we're going to access the li and the a, and we're going to say color equals 515151 for now. Okay, so let's come back to here, and now we've got a different colour as well. See, nice and simple. Okay, so that's basically everything you need on here. All right, so that's now your nav bar. Okay, not as easy as what you maybe thought it would be. So let's now do our centre bit. Or let's just do the footer first of all, so we can get the main things done. But it's kind of actually looking like a website now. It's got a navigation, and you kind of should be getting a good idea now of how you can be doing these things. Right, okay, let's move on then, shall we? Right, let's just jump over to the index.html, and now within the footer what we're going to have is, first of all, we're obviously going to get rid of the blue like this, and we're just going to have a small version of the logo down here, then Thorn Web Design as well. Then over the right hand side we're going to have the contact us as well, right, which I wouldn't have it up here, to be honest with you. I'll just have it down here, and then also any like legal information, alright, terms, conditions and stuff like that. Just two basic, so it basically means that you can then add a navigation down the bottom as well. Alright, so let's move on with this. Let's come over to our HTML, and what we're going to make now is also another unordered list, believe it or not, and we're going to say this one here, and this one's going to have a class of footer logo, right, and then we're going to make then some more buttons down here. Okay, so that's now like that, and let's say contact us, actually we just want to legal and so on. Yeah, and in this way we need to have them the wrong way round, okay, because that's going to be displaying first, then contact us, and then we'll get rid of this one. Okay, so let's just tidy this up very slightly. Okay, this one I'm going to be placing, actually let's put another one in there. Did I copy that? Yes I did. Okay, then footer name as well, and we're just going to place in here in Thorn Web Design. Okay, so this one's going to actually have a logo in the background of it, and yeah, so let's go over to our CSS now, and now the footer. So we're going to say footer.ul, and let's just say footer navbar. Let's just copy this, come here and dot footer navbar, and once again we're going to say list type equals none, width equals 100%, height equals 25, line height equals 24, and that's basically it. So let's just scroll up. Now I'm going to say footer underscore dot footer navbar, which is then this. Okay, so the first one is going to be footer logo, right? It's going to be a width of let's say, I don't know, let's try 40 pixels first of all, height of 25, and then that's going to float left, and background image equals URL, and images, actually I need to route that back, images and footer logo.jpg. Okay, background repeats, there's no repeats, and done. Okay, time to quickly make the image. Okay, the image is now, bring this back over, image is now here, nice small one. Okay, so let's come back over to here and let's have a look, and now the logo is just down there. Alright, now I want to push it over very slightly, because obviously we've got this 20 pixels worth of rounded corner in there. So let's just nudge it over very slightly, because obviously if it doesn't have HTML5, that rounded corner won't display. So what we just need to do is say margin, and then we're just going to nudge it over by 10. Alright, so it just nudges it over just by 10, very, very slightly. It will still be fine looking like that. Okay, now, but I'm going to nudge it from the top 2 as well, 2 pixels. Actually, we could put 2.5 because the logo is actually 20 pixels in height, which would then make up the other 5 pixels. So that's just nudged down very, very slightly. Now time to do this Thorn web design. So let's just copy, basically just copy this once again, and we'll just say footer name. We can remove out the image completely. Width equals 40. Well, we're going to do width equals 150 on this. Height equals 25, and then line height equals 24. Let's nudge it down. Oh, go away. Okay, now we want to have font size equals 11. Color equals my color up here, which I believe was this one. Yes, it was. Color up here like that. And then that should be it as well. So let's come back to here, let's have a look. The colour's there, legal is there as well. Right, let's knock out this horrible background colour of blue. Okay, and it's there. Alright, so that's kind of okay, but because the margin at the top is pushing it up, we can just put 0 for that, because we can use line height for it. See, it nicely sits there. But I'm actually going to make the font size slightly smaller and say 10. Oops. Just say 10 instead, just to knock it down very slightly. There we go, perfectly fine. Okay, now all the other buttons, we're going to say float left on this one's going to be important, alright? And float left on this one is also going to be important. The remaining ones, we're basically just going to say on here, we're going to put it beforehand, we're going to say float right. Okay, so if we come to here, now the legal and the contact go over to the right, but these ones stay over to the left. So all we've got to do is now format these ones. Well, we can copy this one completely, and we can say, let's get rid of this float, like that, and the width equals 150. Well, we don't need the width, we can just put width equals auto, right, and height equals 25, line height equals 24, which is fine. Now, what we do need to do is copy this once again, because we're actually going to be formatting the anchor tag itself. Now, this can be, believe it or not, float left. Alright, now what we do want is text align, want it to be center, and line height already on there. Let's just knock the line out, font size out, color we can take there, which is still there, margin as well left we don't want, so let's do 0. Let's say padding top and 20 and 20 once again. Let's come back, let's have a look. Okay, they're now there. Now I'd say 20 is just a little bit too much. Alright, so let's say 7. Alright, let's come back to here. Okay, they're now quite nice. So let's actually sort this one out, the UL out, so it basically has a margin right, so it nudges it in. So let's go 0, and then we want on the right, we'll say 10 pixels and 0 as well. So it's now going to nudge it in from the right hand side, I believe. There we go, that nudged it in for the right hand side now. Now you can see that where the UL is sat is there with a bit of a margin on it. So it means they nicely sit. Now what we need to do is basically add some hover effects on this. So let's come back down to our footer logo A. So let's copy this and let's just put hover on here, chuck that in there. Now let's go in, say text decoration equals underline, and let's put important on this to make sure that it does happen. Color equals 515151, and yeah, that can do for now. So let's refresh. There we go. Now we've actually got some effects on it. Right, what I did forget to do, look, that's me saying we put it back to front, and actually because they're float right, it's working in the other way. So let's come back again, and now you can see we've got them the other way around. Okay, good stuff. Right, the footer now I just want to have, I want it to have a line going across the top, which is then going to be obviously this footer here. So let's go to class footer, and let's say border top equals 1 pixel solid, and then E1. Save that, come back, and now we've got a line going across the top. Okay, so that's now our footer done. And any other buttons that we want on here, for example, in our footer, we can just simply add and decide where we want them. Obviously contact us, it's obviously starting from the inside, so we can say, just for the sake of it, tutorials here again, and that's worked completely the wrong way that I wanted it to. There we go. Now tutorials are here. Alright, now you could, for the sake of it, just come down here and say like Facebook, for example. Okay, and then put Facebook down here as well. That would be nice and easy. Okay, so now that's that bit done. Let's now do the center bit, shall we? Get this bit done. Right, so the middle column is then going to go in here. Now what we want on here is we've actually got the main holder of the middle column itself, but really I want to actually have its own holder itself. So we're just going to say middle holder like this. So now with inside the middle col, we're going to have a middle holder itself. So let's just save this, come to our middle col, and let's stick a proper actual class on that. And this middle col wants to obviously have height equals auto, overflow equals hidden as well. Now this middle holder can be height equals auto, or width, sorry, height equals auto 2, overflow equals hidden, whoops, and text, no, with text what am I doing, font size, we'll do a basic font size of 12, just so it's there, and colour, we're going to have 515151, so there's always some text inside of it, which is like that. Let's just do some really clever text there, and as you can see now, right, now I don't basically want this to be stuck against the side like this, so let's at least put a margin for the time being on the top of 5 pixels. Come here, knock that down very slightly. Now everything is kind of in line at least. Okay. Now what I do want on every page is a title. Alright, so we're going to come in here, and then we're going to stick H3 as well, and say open it up by welcome to Form Web Design. Close this off, come over to our layout, middle holder, so middle holder H3, and what we're actually just going to do is use the greater than sign just to say the ones that are directly inside the middle holder, it's not going to do all of the other H3s. Okay, so width equals 100%, height equals 30 pixels, and font size equals 16 for the time being. I think that's going to be way too big actually. Let's go 14. Colour equals, choose our favourite colour up here once again. Actually, let's just copy the line height as well, and the text indent, and also the border, because I can't be bothered writing it. Let's just tuck that in there. Okay, dotted. Now I want solid on that. Okay, that should be good enough to go. Okay, welcome to Thorn Web Design. Now the line height may be a bit wrong on this. Okay, yeah, what size do we have there? 30. So we need a line height of 29. It's a lot nicer now. Okay, and let's actually remove this margin of 0 on here. Okay, of 5, sorry. Now we've got this nicely sat in there. Okay, what I might do, no, let's leave it like that, that's fine. Okay, but this line is pushing out too much, so I'm not a big fan of that. So what we're actually going to do is do in here, oh, that's the wrong one. Do 10 pixels in here and 10 pixels in here. Width was auto, yeah, that just nudge it in shortly, slightly there as well. See, middle column comes there. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So it's not now overlapping with the right hand column, which is what I want. Okay, next thing to do is put some content in here. Now we've got quite a lot of room to play with, so we could do some different things. So basically we now, for example, we'll do like 2 or 3 different variants of information that can be displayed, which will be kind of logical. I just drink something. Right, an hour and 26 minutes into it, and we're doing pretty well really for our template. I mean, yeah, considering an hour and 26 minutes, we haven't really done any kind of hard work as such at the moment. Okay, so let's, prior to us continuing with this middle content, let's sort this right hand column out first of all, just for formatting and stuff like that. So let's move over to our index.html. Now within the right hand column, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to put let's have a think about it. Let's make a box in here, shall we, with like kind of videos that's already been viewed or something like that, or next newest video. So we'll make it kind of a nice box type area. So right column is just the holder, okay, and then let's make a div class once again, and we'll say right holder, just like this. Come over to our layout here, and let's find, where's the right one? Let's just search it. Right column, there it is. We didn't do anything else with it. Okay, fine. So let's go left, let's go logical here, left, middle, 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 footer. So let's place it down here. So right col, and then right holder. So width equals auto, height equals, actually we're going to do a min height of 250 pixels. We're going to say border 1 pixel solid, and you've got it, E1, E1, E1. We're going to do border radius of 10 pixels, and let's show you what that looks like, shall we? Actually no, we need one last thing. We need margin, top, we're going to do 5 pixels, right, we're going to do 10. Actually what we're going to do, we're just going to do 5 all round. Just come to here, let's have a look, and we've got this box down here now. Now let's do a bit of a title in it. So let's come to here, and let's say once again, let's say recent videos. Whoops. Let's come back to our CSS. And let's say right col, right holder, and then let's just do the first H3 on that level. Width equals 100%. Height equals 20. We don't need to do this, we can just copy this because this is mundane. Just chuck that in there. Height, I don't really want 30 on here, just want 20. Line height then goes to 19. Font size is going to be 12, actually we'll make that 11. Colour is going to be the same, text indent, border bottom is that. So that's pretty cool. Come to here, and there we go, we've got a nice little title here as well now. Okay, so now we want to have some content inside of it, so let's just basically make some recent videos, shall we? So coming into here, the right column, let's now just make another unordered list, or a ZL, whatever that is, and once again do this, mundane stuff again, and we could probably actually just copy this here, chuck that in there, bunch that over there. At this rate it was probably quicker just to, yeah, just quicker to write it myself. Okay, so let's just come in here. Yes, it was just quicker to write myself. Okay, so let's tidy that up. And this one's going to be video tutorial 1. Let's just copy this once again. There we go. And 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's do some CSS for it. So we've got right holder C, or right holder here. So right column, right holder, and then UL width equals 100%, height equals auto, overflow equals hidden, list style type equals none, font size equals 11, color equals this. Actually, let's do color just to change it. This color, and then margin equals 2. Yes, let's have a look. Okay, they're there. Why that margin didn't work, I don't know. Let's have a look. Oh, it did work. Okay, fine. Okay, so now time to actually do the lists themselves. Okay, so margin, first of all I'm going to do 5 pixels, and height equals auto, float left, which means we then need to do, yeah, we've got that there, right holder, overflow equals hidden on that. Oops. Overflow equals hidden. Okay, that's that for now. Then come to here and then do our anchor tag. Okay, color equals 515 or 51. Text align equals left. Text indent equals 5. Let's have a look. Okay, cool. Let's now do hover on this as well. See, it's all pretty much the same stuff all the time. So once again, text decoration equals underline. We're going to make this important just in case nothing knocks it out. And color equals then, let's just do 555, shall we? Okay, let's come back to here, give it a refresh. Now we've got this. See, nice and cool. Now, rather than making the min height on this one, let's get rid of that one there. Let's just make this now height equals auto. Come back over to here, and then that now goes like that, which is cool. Okay, so that's basically now 2 of them. Recent videos could have another box in there as well, so we could then just copy this and just say newest videos once again. Okay, now let's change then, if we're going to do that, to have the video holder margin, and we'll just attach it onto here instead. Margin bottom 10, rather than just remodding that and just write it out again, and that pushes down very slightly. Okay, trouble is with this main body now, we set this main middle column, right, main body we set to that, left column we set to that, middle column, or was it the wrapper we set with a height? Okay, we set the wrapper with a height of 400, so let's come back to our wrapper and let's put height equals auto now. Keep doing this. Okay, so let's now get rid of that and get rid of that. Okay, this is because the right column is there. It's all good. That's gonna have to remove this for a second just to have a look. What is not main body? Yeah. Right column. To be put height on the right column? No. Right holder. That's because right column. Okay, that's why. Our right column need also a bit of overflow equals hidden. And I'm guessing should sort that out. No. Okay. Okay, let's have another look. Wrapper. Yeah, it's height equals auto. Header, that one there. Could be to do with that. I'm guessing it's to do with that because that's position absolute, which would mean then it would work like that. So which means we're left with an idea of, yes, I'm left with an idea now of main body, and if we float this, it should then not work. Okay, so racking my brains how we can do this. That's not seeing that. Then we could also try clear both. See whether that one works. Let's think how we can do this. Well, actually, to be honest with you, I don't think we're going to need to have on this footer, with this main body being like that. Where was it? Down the bottom. Let's take that off. That sits up there now. Let's take that off. Still, that sits down there. Okay, let's fix that. But we want to have float left on here as well, because there we go, because obviously it was still hiding from the other one. Okay, that's good stuff. So now we've got everything. Yes, now we want the main content itself. Well, an hour and 38 minutes. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this down into 2 videos, so it doesn't get too much for me to upload and so on. Okay, well, if anything, I'm going to continue this video after this into a second part, and we'll move on, and maybe we can continue into doing some dynamic PHP as well. But yeah, and I'll show you even further. Alright, don't go away, go and get yourself a cup of tea, have some food, whatever, and we'll continue very, very shortly. Alright, bye bye.